All right. Hello, welcome. So nice to have you here. Why is it so difficult to ask for help? This is the topic I thought we'd chat about today. We know we need help, right? Have you ever had it where it's like you're stuck, you're not moving in a direction you want, and you know you should ask for help, but you won't do it? I know I have certainly been in that place. Maybe stereotypically, people say, well, are men more likely to behave that way? I don't know. I think that's kind of a human thing. Let me know what you think. Asking for help, it can feel bad. I think it's part of the culture. I think that we're a very individualistic culture, and part of that individualism is like, I don't know if you ever read Orwell, it's have all these inversions, like ignorance is strength. Like maybe in our culture, like isolation is strength, Here in the States, we had the homesteaders and the push west, and that was like the American ideal, right? You can do everything yourself. Well, I don't know. How's it working out? I know for me, sometimes I never really made progress until I finally got over myself and started asking for help. Pat is here. Hello. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're doing well. Nice to have you here. Asking for help can feel like weakness. This is the thing that I was reflecting on. I did the live session, was it just Friday, where I planned this out, a little productivity session. I was just, the thought that came to me, does it feel this way to you? Asking for help feels like weakness. And the thing that I was coming to is like, it's actually strength, to actually be able to take the steps that you need to do. And oftentimes, it's better to do it together. So it's actually strength. That's the place that I want to go today. If you need help, to actually ask for it is a courageous thing. We aren't meant to go through all of our struggles alone. And even if we aren't meant to, I don't know, implies that I know the purpose of all this, but we don't have to. Maybe that's the clear way to say it. We don't have to go things alone. The thing I think, oftentimes the more we can open up, be vulnerable in some aspect, the more progress we can actually make, the more success we have. So that's what I want to move toward today. Asking is strength. Can we make that switch? Probably really, I know it's helped me. Hustle culture does not look favorably on those that ask for help. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. And that's one of the barriers. I'll get into some of the barriers identified, but that is one, is like just fear of being judged, right? Looking weak, I thought I'd start this out. I try a big part of this. Okay, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Z, so nice to meet you. A big idea of fasting space is just like a space. I'm trying to help people on my little channel here burn through blood sugar, burn through energy storage, that's the body fat, lose weight, reinvigorate a metabolism. These are the sorts of things I try to model. Like this is kind of what you do. You can get up in the morning, grab a coffee, put on a pleasant little tune and just chill out. And I'll give your body the space to just use the energy that's within it. Very empowering. So that's the idea with this whole thing. And I thought with this session, asking for help, maybe I try to model that a little bit. So I made a little mini session, just a little slide. Let's see if we can switch over. I thought I'd ask for a little feedback if you're watching live or coming through on the replay. Certainly throw in comments or just send me an email. Got my email here, drz@simplefasting.com. I'd be curious to get feedback about the both the live session and the channel. What did I write here? Do you find the live session helpful and enjoyable? I'd be happy to know. And the same thing, when I say live session, I mean like channel in general, videos and what's your favorite thing about it? Yeah, say least favorite thing, especially least favorite thing maybe. Every time you do this, I just hate it and it makes me want to turn it off. I'm happy to hear. If you could change one thing about the channel or the live session, what would it be? This is me asking for your help. What would make it better, in your opinion? I want to know. Like, in my ideal vibe, okay, the picture I have is like if I was just meeting with one person, to try to just have a chat, I would pick coffee shop as the venue and we'd sit at a coffee shop and hang out, and usually there's some nice music on there and nice atmosphere. I try to recreate that digitally in this sort of thing. Does that work? Would you prefer something else? I want it to feel like people who are coming in and connecting with this space, I want it to feel like your space, and I kind of envision myself as like the host of like a space. Do you think that we're heading in that direction? Do you like the music, or would you say get rid of the music? I've had feedback both ways. I'm curious to hear people's thoughts about it. Some people say, "Oh, it'd be more like a podcast if you just kill the music. I find it distracting." And I'm like, "Well, I appreciate that feedback." And other people are like, "Oh, I love the music and it's so chill." That's how I feel, but like I'm open to changing my perspective on it. I think I am. Any specific topics you'd like? Any feedback that you want, I'm totally open. So there's my little asking for help in the day. Help make this into a space that you would like more. Appreciate that. Why do we struggle to ask for help? So here is, I'll go through kind of a list of some things that I came up with. Feel free to share any thoughts. I'm happy to learn from your perspective as we're heading through it. I think ego, this is the big thing I was coming up, our pride, we just, we want to be tough, right? We want to be strong. We want to be able to do everything ourselves. And if to even get to a place where we think about asking for help, like we just have to acknowledge that we are deficient, right? In some way, we lack some ability to do something, and that can be a very frustrating space to be in. So much of this is the interaction with the culture, like what we were saying. It's like, and I don't know if it's worse or not. I think, there's a discussion about social media, everybody comparing themselves to other people, everybody creating these false fronts of kind of perfection. Like it creates this idea like that other people are not just winging it like everybody else is, And it can be, I think that can make it a barrier to actually reach out and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm not getting on track with this. Like, could you give me a hand?" And then the other side of it is that, like, that we would feel either, if we're feeling judged by someone, we might feel like shame, or maybe we are feeling some shame or guilt about something, right? These are powerful negative emotions to deal with. Big bear. Instead of confronting an issue like that, we say, just put it in the closet, shut. That's the easy path. Asking for help, this is how we start to go toward it. This is why it is strength, right? Because the easy path is to just shut things off and not do it. But to actually lean into it is often the more difficult road in the short term, but it's often the thing that actually will take us where we want to go. I think another barrier that I wrote down is just like isolation in general. Like, I've been kind of thinking about this of like, okay, it's the most connected moment in history. Here we're like, we're live streaming to anyone, anywhere we can connect with, right? But, I was seeing some surveys that people, overall, I think especially youth was in the survey, more lonely than ever, feeling more isolated, that actually the digital representations of, relationships and connection, not the same thing as actually connecting with people, so in person. Harder to ask for help if we're not, part of this too, like, culture is so mobile, it's harder to have enduring friendships and relationships. Can make it harder to feel like we have, people that we can really lean on if we need it. Maybe there's a certain source of help, right, would be family, right, in an ideal scenario. But also maybe we come from families that, don't always have healthy dynamics, that we've kind of been passed down, from our family. Like, hey, like, you got to tough this out and you got to figure this out. And so, like, if we were raised that way, it'd be very difficult to break out of that or change that. In meditation, I've done these other sessions. How do you develop a self-awareness of the places where you could even think about asking for help, right? You have to have enough awareness to do it. This is how we start to change our perspective on it. If we're seeing asking for help as weakness, well, think how many things you have to overcome and do to get to the point where you would even get there. Aquarius is here. Hello. Nice to have you here. Is my diet or exercise enough due to weak willpower, or my trainers who acted like I was not working hard enough? All of that made me distrust, and so I turned inward. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for this reflection. There's always two sides to everything. Of course, a big thing that I want to help people do is to be empowered, right? I don't want personally, I don't want to be helpless. No one wants to be helpless. Everyone wants to be able to do things themselves. And to the extent, that you can do research and things, see, that's the other side of it. That's so good. The other side of it is just recognizing, right, that we are all in different ways too, limited. We have different strengths and weaknesses. And recognizing our own weaknesses and vulnerabilities is often the key, other people in a different place. The key to moving forward is identifying the places where we are lacking and seeking out help in those areas. I was having a conversation this week where with someone, they were saying they asked for help from the wrong people. That's where you're going, like the distrust, right? Like that's something to be mindful of, right? We need to reach out, but we don't want to be seeking bad counsel either. So that can be maybe another barrier. Distrust. We've been burned in the past when we've tried to look for help, and then that's made it much more difficult to do in the future because we don't want to be hurt by people or pushed in a bad direction. So to move toward asking for help, we got to overcome a lot. We need self-actualization, right? We need self-awareness. The actual process of asking, right, is actually taking action. So one of the big things that makes it difficult for people in any area of life, right, to move forward is actually taking action. Like much easier to think about something. Can be hard to think about it. We said, okay, put the difficulty in the closet, right? So to bring it out into the open, difficult, and then to actually act on something. And that's part of what asking for help is doing. Is like saying, I've identified a problem and we need to start taking action if we're going to move toward it. And so the actual act, it's like the first step. Often the first step is the most difficult, right? So an ask is like an action step, and then you start moving forward. Sometimes I was thinking of when I'm trying to help people with weight loss, trying to help people do a fasting process. Sometimes I talk about like a fasting aid or like a crutch, right? So crutch is another thing that is like, people say, well, that seems like a weakness, you know? And it's like, hey, using some sort of crutch. If your foot is broken, you can't walk on it. Like a crutch is a very helpful thing, right? So I was thinking for a while, is like asking for help, is that like a crutch? I mean, I'm personally fine with if it is. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why we need to like reverse the thinking. But then the other thought I was having about it is it's kind of the analogy I would like. It's like a bridge, right? I think it's more like a bridge. Bridge is such a, even in our culture, a positive thing. It's helping you cross a difficult space, right? And so, well, if you say crutch is like, well, it's kind of the same. We don't have to, I think of a crutch can be negative. I have to fix my own thinking on it. It's not negative. But a bridge probably has the most positive connotation, right? The most positive way to think about it. You're stuck in a place. You need some bit of help, like build a bridge, right? That's relational, right? That's connecting. That's asking for help. Building a bridge. How do you move out of a difficult space? Someone can help you with it. Getting help, it can look like lots of different things. Like help, if we just focus in on a health space, maybe it looks like finding accountability outside of yourself. Certainly ways we've talked about, like how do you find accountability within yourself? Journaling and this sort of thing. Finding accountability outside of yourself. Finding motivation, right? Motivation, something definitely can be hard. Like we have some amount of motivation, ourselves, but then you say, well, what if it's not enough? You say, I'm struggling with it. People struggle with motivation. There are areas, accountability, motivation, where you could reach out. Like if you find people, right, who are trying to move in the same direction. These are things, hopefully, that I'm trying to do here. Create a space where people can come together who are trying to move in the same direction. It's a struggle to do, right? Can we share together that process, right? So that's happy to hear feedback. Do you think that we're creating a space like that? And then I set up this private community, some of you there, where I'm trying to create a space that, for some amount of this is one way, right? I'm on the video here, like I'm kind of broadcasting. Like in a private space can be a little more interactive. And if anybody coming through, I'm trying to provide a space like that. If you're looking for a place where you can get help along the topic that we're discussing here, of course, you could check that out. But maybe it is in a different direction that you need, like a therapy or some sort of, more mental health focused area. Of course, that's certainly the way to go. Maybe it's not just on a health goal, it's like physical health, like weight and blood sugar. Maybe it's mental health focused. And then I would say certainly, yeah, depression, anxiety, trauma, like moving in that direction. This is kind of an interface between those two areas, with weight and health and eating. If there's some sort of emotional underpinning to it, maybe that's the work that needs to be done first, Move in that. If there's a history of trauma, if there's a history, move in that. If there's a history of trauma, if there's a history of things that need to be processed in a healthy way. Sometimes that is like the work to do first many times. So maybe it's joining a community. Maybe it's just a social community. Maybe it's a fitness community. Many people find connection through some sort of spiritual community. Maybe it's connecting, with family, friends. Let me know if you have suggestions. How have you done it in the past where you've reached out in a way we haven't discussed? So I thought I'd just give a little space here. I have a few little prompts to consider for the week. Some journaling. Where is an area where you could use help in your life right now? Have you written that out? And if you're not, maybe you're not feeling in a space that way, it's probably worth some from time to time. Even if you're in a space where you don't feel like it. We all have areas where we could progress and improve. And then think about, what would it feel like to ask for help with that thing, Is there hesitancy? That would be a way to try to get at some of these barriers, Are you feeling like, oh, would I be judged? Who could you reach out to if you wanted to today? Or what would reaching out look like? I think we underestimate the combination of factors that in total result in being overweight. Very tough thing to solve without addressing all the issues. Yeah, I think it is. It's easy to try to simplify it. It's all about calories, right? We just count the calories and like the thing, I listened to an interview the other day where two, I think, thoughtful people were having this kind of scientific discussion about, well, is it really all about calories? And I don't know. On a scientific level, if you put somebody in some sort of experiment, you can in a very artificial controlled way, you can you can control someone's weight, at least in the short term, through controlling someone's calories. But like, it's such a reductionist mindset, and I've just felt so uncomfortable with the whole conversation because I was like, it's not really a practical conversation to help people, as far as I saw in this conversation, because I'm like, we're just taking all of the human context, all of the stress and the relationships and the culture and all of this, and we're just boiling it down to this number. And I was like, if that worked, we would have solved this problem in 1975 or something. But this very scientific reductionist perspective, it's not taking our society to a better place, as far as I could see. So like you're saying, yeah, I think the scientific, the medical community, we're underestimating the situation. Yeah. We don't have a holistic, comprehensive approach to it. And I'm not saying that I do either, but I want to have it. Like, I'm trying to move in that direction. I read a paper once that was I think it was in the New England Journal of Medicine. Not the type of thing you read there very often, but it was saying, we should have the weight loss center of the future, or the diabetes center of the future. And, it should be a very multidisciplinary place. And it should be like, there should be physical therapists, and there should be counselors and psychologists, and there should be doctors and nurses, and just like the whole community should be a community. And I would say part coffee shop, and part everything. I don't know. It's got to bring everybody together. That would be like really asking for help. That's, as I'm seeing it, it'd be like, how can we reach out to as many people and as comprehensively as a fashion to really support people through the complex and difficult work of making changes and making it in a sustainable way without suffering and struggling and being stressed out and just restarting a negative cycle, very, very positive, building bridges. I like that analogy a lot. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about that, with this kind of hybrid sort of medical practice that I'm, running after I left my primary care practice. And I've been diving in on trying to make resources here. I'm doing telemedicine consulting for people in Wisconsin. And there's certain benefits to telemedicine. It's very convenient to save a lot of time. But also, like, personally, I do miss connecting with people in person, and I'm kind of reflecting on that, in this sort of space, is when we're talking about, well, technology is great. It helps us connect. I can consult with people all over the state without them having to drive to Madison, and save a lot of money on gas and time. But then that's this whole culture and this whole situation too, is like, yeah, we're all like connected. in my biggest vision of the future, I don't know. I have this the online community in the future. Maybe it's there, or maybe it's here, maybe it's through YouTube. Like, I don't know. I think it would be fun to do live events, like in-person events. Would be interesting to take this sort of vibe, but do it live, If we have crack the code. I'm not a business person. This is probably where I need to get some business help, or I'll get marketing going or something. But it'd be fun if we got people around the country or something, go hold a live event where we can actually do something like this together. And that would probably, I'm thinking as I'm looking at the questions I asked everybody, that would be a way to level up the experience, I think. Dude, that would be like really live. This is like live, but I don't know, how do you say it? We're live but separated, like live but in a venue. Happy to take any questions as we're going here. I'll just chill out a little bit. Those are my thoughts on asking for help for today. Choosing to change the lifestyle. Maybe lifestyle coaching could be the niche. Coaching isn't medical advice. It's really tough. It is really tough, because I've thought a lot about that. Like, if I wasn't a doctor, I could just launch it so much bigger. Actually, the medical system is so bizarre. With the regulations and the things. So I've asked this question actually to a health attorney, and we had quite a debate and legal research on it. And it kind of is actually it is the problem, and this is actually one of the problems. Is like, what actually is medical advice can change depending on the person and the context that they're giving it. And a big part of what I really want to do actually is to help people get off of medications, and that actually is medical advice. If you're using a nutrition program to manage someone's medication, it becomes medical advice. So yeah, I don't know, a lot to think about. I appreciate the thought. I will really think about it. Maybe the thing of it is, I don't know. I think a lot about you don't really have to be a doctor to do a lot of the sorts of things that I want to do. But also, they're the things that, from my perspective, make the biggest impact on health. And I do value the perspective that I have from all of the medicine that I've been a part of. I think there is value there. But it's kind of interesting to think, is it somehow blunting the effect? Maybe I just need more help. Maybe I need more help in the whole thing from people who aren't doctors. I don't know. It's all a process. It's all an experience. Appreciate you all here today. Appreciate any feedback that you send, and if you're coming through on the replay, do throw feedback in the comments, in the big picture feedback, the channel, the live session, and then any thoughts, of course, on today's topic, asking for help, moving toward help. Be very happy to have an ongoing conversation about it over the week. One of the things I really like about this format, anybody who can be here live is great. We can interact in real time. I just love when people throw in the comments during the week too, because they all pop into my, YouTube control board. And then, when you're watching on the replay, you throw a chat in, and then I can still respond to you. And it's kind of like you're here live. So we're creating this kind of interesting time delay. Yeah, I appreciate that. Knowledge is empowering. I picked the topic. I've tried to do that with some of these, so I will think about that. I've got a list of definitely some more ones. The GI session and the cold one. Like, did those go well? They definitely, they do get picked up more. More people came through. So, if you've got specific topics you want me to focus on, shoot them over to me on an email or throw them in a comment, and I'd be very happy to dial in on it. We had a couple beautiful days this week in Madison here. We got up into the even upper 70s. It was so nice. We're back down in the low 30s today, so that's spring here in Wisconsin. I hope wherever you are that you have some pleasant days. I hope it's a great week. Appreciate you being here, and I will catch you